I am 91 years old, and last week my doctor stared at my lab results for a long moment before asking what I had been doing differently. It wasn't 6 days a week at the gym. It wasn't expensive supplementation protocols. It was what I put into my body every single day, starting before I even get out of bed. Today I'm going to show you exactly 5 foods that are part of my daily muscle recovery and maintenance routine. And what's going to surprise you isn't the food itself. It's the moment and the way your body processes these nutrients after 70, 80, or 90 years of age in a completely different way than it would at 40. Stay with me until the end, because the 5th food is the one nobody talks about, and it's the one that changed my body composition the most over the last 2 years. Let's start with the most underestimated one. For decades, conventional medicine told older adults to avoid the yolk. Today, longevity science says the exact opposite for anyone trying to maintain and build lean muscle mass. The whole egg contains leucine, which is the amino acid responsible for activating the process that longevity researchers call muscle protein synthesis. And here's the point. Almost no one explains, after the age of 70, the body develops what the science calls anabolic resistance. This means it requires a higher amount of quality protein to generate the same muscular response it would in a younger person. The egg yolk also supplies choline, which sustains neuromuscular function, meaning the ability of the nervous system to fire the muscle efficiently. When that connection weakens, the muscle loses functional strength before it even loses volume. So the real issue isn't just mass, it's capacity. Comment call to action. Drop a comment and tell me what country or state you're watching from. I want to see where our community is spread across the world. It genuinely helps me understand who I'm talking to. The second food catches people off guard because it seems too simple, but sardines offer a combination that no other accessible food provides in the same proportion: complete protein, omega-3, and bioavailable calcium in the same package. The omega-3 in sardines acts directly on the muscular inflammatory process, and here's the detail that changes everything in longevity. Muscle doesn't grow during effort, it grows during recovery. Low-grade chronic inflammation, which is silent and extremely common in people over 70, sabotages precisely that recovery window. When the immune system is constantly managing inflammation, it pulls resources away from muscle repair. Omega-3 helps regulate that internal environment so that recovery can happen with far greater efficiency. Comment call to action. Do you already include fish in your health routine? Comment yes or no below and tell me how many times a week. I'm curious to see the pattern among the people who follow this channel. This is the food that longevity researchers in the United States and Europe are rediscovering right now. Lentils appear consistently in the dietary habits of the world's longest living populations, and the reason goes far deeper than just protein content. Lentils are one of the most amino acid-dense plant-based sources available. But the point almost no one addresses is their effect on the gut microbiome. Longevity research shows that the health of the intestinal flora directly interferes with protein absorption. In other words, you can consume enough protein and still fail to use its full potential if the gut isn't functioning properly. The fiber in lentils feeds the beneficial bacteria in the gut, which in turn produce compounds that reduce systemic inflammation and improve the internal environment for muscle protein synthesis. It's a chain that starts in the gut and ends in the muscle. Comment call to action. Did you know lentils play this kind of role in muscle health? Comment below if this was new information for you, and tell me what city or country you're watching from right now. What very few people connect is the role of full-fat plain yogurt not as a protein source, but as a regulator of IGF-1, the insulin-like growth factor. With aging, the production of this hormone drops sharply, and it has a direct role in the body's capacity to maintain and build muscular tissue. Studies on long-lived populations show that regular consumption of full-fat fermented dairy is associated with better markers of muscle mass and bone density in people over 70. The fermentation process also produces beneficial compounds that support gut health and reduce inflammatory markers. But there's a critical detail most people ignore. It has to be full fat. The low-fat version removes the fat that serves as the transport vehicle for fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin D, which is also directly linked to muscular function. Removing the fat from yogurt to gain muscle is like removing the engine from a car and expecting it to run better. Comment call to action. Do you eat full-fat or low-fat yogurt? Tell me in the comments. And since you've made it to food number 4, let me know where you're watching from. I want to see the map of where our community lives. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning, the one nobody is talking about. And the reason it's almost invisible in conversations about muscle health after 70 is that most people still associate seeds with weight management rather than with muscular recovery. Pumpkin seeds are one of the richest natural sources of magnesium available, and magnesium is a mineral that plays a direct role in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, including muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and the regulation of cortisol. That last one matters enormously in aging. Elevated cortisol levels are one of the primary drivers of muscle protein breakdown in older adults. Research in the field of healthy aging consistently shows that magnesium deficiency is widespread in people over 65, largely because absorption efficiency decreases with age. When magnesium levels are low, sleep quality drops, the stress response becomes harder to regulate, and the muscle recovery process is compromised at its foundation. Pumpkin seeds are a dense, accessible, and consistent way to restore that baseline every single day. Comment call to action. Had you ever heard of pumpkin seeds being connected to muscle recovery? Comment below. I want to know if this was the most surprising one for you, and tell me what country or state you're in. Let's see where this community reaches. Building muscle after 70, 80, or 90 is not a myth, but it requires a different strategy because the body responds to different signals. The anabolic resistance I mentioned at the beginning isn't a wall, it's information. It tells us that the body needs a more precise approach, not more effort. These 5 foods are part of my daily recovery and muscle maintenance routine at 91. This isn't a trending superfood list. This is what healthy aging science is showing for people who want to grow older with functionality, with independence, with strength. If this content made sense to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. I'm going to talk about what happens to muscle tissue during sleep in people over 70, and it will completely change the way you think about recovery.